your brand globally. Make your venture a success. Unique Times, premium business lifestyle magazine.
അമൃത് വേണി ഹെയർ എലിക്സർ ഫോർ വിമൻ. ബയോടെക്നോളജി പ്രകാരം എഞ്ചിനീയറിംഗ് ചെയ്ത ഹെയർ എലിക്സർ. അമൃത് വേണി എന്നാൽ മുടിക്കുള്ള അമൃത്.
Dr. Nandakumar, who is very well known to all of us, Sri Kumaravel, Sri Sriram Bharat, our most energetic chairperson of the Pegasus Group and also chairperson of Unique Times. Ladies and gentlemen, Pegasus and Unique Times has charted a completely new direction for Kerala. Kerala never had this tradition of holding beauty contests or having a glamour magazine like Unique Times over the last 20 years, as you heard. And especially over the last 10, 11 years, they have charted a new course for the state. And today I think they are taking yet another step which is completely new in their 2-decade history. They are starting a business summit which is associated with this beauty pageant. Beauty is all about intelligence, is what they would like to tell us. And today they have chosen a topic for discussion which I think brings industry and all of you close together, the participants here. They've chosen a topic for discussion today, for your knowledge today, for your understanding today, which is on corporate social responsibility, CSR, as it's known in its short form. Corporate social responsibility is not something new. It's been down through the ages. Every company, whether it was Tata's or Birla's, have traditionally shown a responsibility towards society. But it was the structuring of it and the mandating of it through law that has changed things in the last 10 years. Every corporate, every company, big and small, has a responsibility to society. And why is that? That's very simple. Because no industry, no business can operate in a vacuum. It's society that's providing the customers, the business. It's society that's providing the staff, the employees. It's a local community which supports the industry there. So you cannot run an industry without social backing of the community. And therefore, every corporate which takes so much out of society necessarily has to pay back to society. And that is the concept of corporate social responsibility. It's been always there. The Birlas have donated so much to India's freedom movement. The Tatas have done so much in terms of service to the nation, and all the other new industries. I'm not mentioning Reliance and all the other groups because they are newer. Traditionally, for the last 100 years, we have had a corporate mindset that has been very keen on plowing back at least a part of the profits that they make to the community which has helped to prop them up. It was in the last 10 years, in 2013, however, the whole thing was made into a new law. It was actually not a new law as much as addition to the Companies Act. I think the section is 135. My co-panelists will correct me if I'm wrong. A new section was added to the Indian Companies Act in 2013 when the Companies Act itself was amended. The Companies Act is very old, but a new act was formulated in 2013. And a section was added to it which made it mandatory for all companies or large companies to plow back a share of their profits into social responsibility, into corporate social responsibility. Not all companies are covered by this law. Not all companies are mandatorily held responsible to plow back a share of their profits. Many companies do it. Smaller companies do it. But it's the bigger companies of more than 1,000 crores, a profit of 50 crores. 5 crores, okay. So if a company makes a profit of 5 crores, big or small, if a company or if a company has a turnover of more than 1,000 crores, and there's a 500 somewhere also, okay, I'll come back to that later. If a company has a turnover of 1,000 crores, which is a very large amount, if the net worth of a company is 500 crores, if the turnover is 1,000 crores or more, and if its profit is 50 crores or more, then it gets covered by this mandatory clause of the Companies Act, Section 135. And when it gets covered, the company which answers to any of this, if its net worth is more than 500 crores, if its turnover is more than 1,000 crores, if its profit in the past year is more than 50 crores, then it has to plow back 2% of its profits into corporate social responsibility. And that's mandatory, it has to be done. And the understanding is that it has to be spent in the next financial year itself. In the unlikely event that for some reason it cannot use the money on corporate social activities in the forthcoming financial year, the balance money that is left with it has to be sent into a separate deposit and used within 3 years. So you cannot avoid using it. If that money is not used within 3 years, then it, I think, goes to government. So it has to be used, the 2% of it. So, but then the corporate social activities that can be undertaken by these companies is limited. It can't be anything. For example, you can't have an award night like this. You can't have a TV program sponsored. You can't advertise. You can't have marathon runs and things like that with this money. It has to be for specific activities, and these specific activities include activities regarding education, poverty, gender equality, hunger, and so on. It's been listed there, so it can be used only for such social activities within the 3 + 1 year period that I indicated to you. They're also supposed to provide returns for it and ensure that the money is spent. The law has been recently amended to make this a bit more, bit more aggressive, if I may call it that. If a company fails to do this, then the company faces punishment under the law, and that includes, I believe, up to 25 lakh rupees as fine for the company. And the person who is responsible, a person has to be held responsible for CSR activities in any of these companies, and that person himself is liable to 3 years imprisonment. The punishment, I thought, was a bit too rigorous, but that's what the government says, that's what the law says. So that is what CSR is all about. And an understanding of CSR will, I'm sure, enable you participants to whether you win this pageant or not, this beauty come intelligence pageant, beauty come personality pageant, I would like to call it. It's very important for you to understand what this is all about, CSR, and how best you could perhaps use it to promote whatever areas of interest you have. I'm sure your interest includes interest in education, in educating of children, in health, in poverty, and so on. So this is something that I'm sure will be good for you, and a business summit like this, where we have the best of the industry here, best of the thinkers here, will be a very apt forum for you to understand the CSR better, ask your doubts, and clear them as we go along. What does CSR do? CSR essentially promotes responsible business. A business, as I said in the beginning, has a responsibility to society, because no business can operate in a vacuum, whatever it is, small, big. And it is important, therefore, that they plow back this, and that's their responsibility. It's mandatory, unfortunately. It has to be done voluntarily, I believe, but many don't do it voluntarily, and therefore there was a need to bring in the law. So that is what we are going to discuss today. We have an extremely good panel. I mentioned some of the names, and I'm sure that you will have a much, much better understanding of what corporate social responsibility is from this discussion. And later on, I'm sure you'll be given time to answer some questions that you may have, some doubts you may have. And therefore, at the end of the day, you all will go out of this hall much better educated, understanding what CSR is than you came in. I must thank once again Pegasus and your highly energetic chairperson of Pegasus and Unique Times for holding this first ever summit, business summit. I think that's a new direction, I suppose, that beauty pageants and intelligent pageants like this is taking. I think it's some sort of a new, innovative step that is, I think, the other beauty pageants across the country and across the world can think about. I congratulate Ajit Ravi once again, and I'm sure at the end of the day, you will go back much more educated on this than we are here now. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I think we'll begin the discussion if things are on track right away. Thank you so much. We'll continue with the discussions now.
Feel the freshness. Feel the softness. DQ 78 TFM Grade 1 Soap.